Good morning. Welcome to Up to the Minute. It is Monday, October the 17th. I'm Todd Duplantis. Good to have you with us. And hey, if you haven't been outside, there's been a bit of a change in weather. We've now bypassed summer version 3 that hits us in Houston, the late summer, as we like to call it. Now it looks like we might actually have fall for a few days, maybe even a week. My co-host this morning is Dr. Nicholas Cox. He's with the history department, the chair there. It's good to have you with us, Nick. Have you been outside yet?
Yes, I love this cooler weather for sure. Hopefully it lasts longer than a week, Todd.
You hope so, but sooner or later, we're going to be back in the 80s again. So that's just the way it works in Houston. It'd probably be sooner rather than later. Hey, but we'll take it when we can get it. We want to thank everyone for watching us on this Monday morning to kick off your work week. You're watching us on Facebook Live and YouTube. We're here every morning at 10 a.m. And Nick, they can also find us anytime in social media and on HCCTV.
That's right, Todd. And we're live on Houston Community College District Facebook page and YouTube. We're also on Twitter, LinkedIn, Instagram, and on HCCTV at noon, 5 and 10 p.m. Monday through Friday.
That's right. Okay. All right. Stick around, Nick, because you're going to be talking with this next guest very soon. Cynthia Cagle is the lead faculty with HCC's Emergency Medical Services. Cynthia, good to have you with us.
It is great to be here. Thank you very much, Todd.
Yeah, thanks for being here. We're looking forward to hearing about the program. I know it's booming right now, so we'll be with you in about 10 minutes. Okay, sounds good. We're going to kick things off. We've got a very special guest for our Mental Health Monday guest. We welcome University of Alabama professor leading a Brave Conversations presentation this week called Too Difficult to Love. Dr. Nirmala Erevelles is joining us. She's with the University of Alabama. Doctor, good to have you with us on the show.
Thank you for inviting me to be on the show, and I'm looking forward to the conversation.
Tell us a bit about why are Brave Conversations regarding women's issues so critical at this point?
This has been a very hard 3 years. We've come through a pandemic. We've had many of us have experienced personal loss because of that. We've struggled. Some of us have been struggling with raising our children during this pandemic. We've also experienced a lot of assault on our personal rights, our reproductive rights, our ability to choose identities, gender identities, ability to practice whom we love. And we are also in this, kind of economic recessional state. So we've been going through a lot of stress, and we've been also in some ways, I think a lot of us women feel we are under a siege. And so having a conversation in this kind of context is has in some ways to be brave.
You talked about a number of things there, that issues regarding women, but let's talk about some of the current events, and both nationally and internationally, that are inspiring these Brave Conversations. You talked about reproductive rights. Obviously, that's a big topic, especially going into the next election and where we go from here on out. Maybe you can talk about some of those headlines that will affect the conversations and your presentation.
It would be remiss for me not to mention actually one of the biggest headlines that's going on right now about Brave Conversations is are the protests that are happening in Iran around the 22-year-old Mahsa Amini and her death, and the ways in which women have been protesting that violence, right? And the ways in which their bodies have been policed. And this is something similar that has happened, that in some ways we can see echoes of that happening in the US around our own rights and our own struggles. So that's one of the big international events that we need to pay attention to. We're also at war. And to watch what's happening, women and children bear the biggest brunts of war. So that's the other national headline that we're also facing. And then I was also one of the issues that has risen with the Iranian revolution is the notion of the morality police, which is something that, again, women across the world, not just in Iran, but also in the US, are experiencing. And I also, because we are talking about Houston and Texas, and because we've been talking about stuff during the pandemic, we should not be also forgetting the immigration detention camps, and the women and children who have been separated during those camps from the pandemic, but stuff that's still happening today. So there are a lot of like these large international issues that seem in some ways broader politically, but also have some real impact on our everyday lives.
Well,
emotionally and politically. Yeah, sorry.
You bring up some very good points, especially when you look at the situation in Iran. Now, many Americans may say, well, that's happening in Iran. We live in America. It's not going to affect us. But realistically, we're talking about a revolution that could change the geopolitical culture in Iran and in that part of the country, correct?
Yes. And in some ways, it also impacts us in a way, because American women may presume that we don't have to worry about those rights. But as you just mentioned earlier, the current elections are also going to be, in many ways, working through these very personal rights that American women have taken for granted all this time. So in some ways, the morality, it may look different in a different part of the world, but we are all under siege, and it gives us a moment to also, that's why it's a brave conversation, to build solidarity across borders. That it's no longer just an issue in some part of the world, it's actually across borders.
As you approach these brave conversations, do you have women who've written pieces that inspire you with your approach? Maybe you can talk about that a bit.
Yes, because one of the other issues that I hadn't raised earlier is my particular space where I come into these conversations is I do work on disability and disabled women, and with disabled women and disability rights. And so I would argue that my position from where I come to these conversations is one of, I'll say, a transnational feminist who does work in disability. And when I talk about disability, I'm talking about the ways in which our bodies, women's bodies, disabled women's bodies in particular, but also in general, are constituted as if they are outside of the norm. And that's why there's not just the policing that I talked about, but there's also a denial of our rights and our capacities to be in this world. And so the feminists that that have inspired my work and that I will be discussing in my presentation on Friday, the title of my presentation is Too Difficult to Love. And it's actually taken from a poem by Wasson Shire, who is a Somali poet who lives in London. And it's a poem that talks about love, actually, and the ways in which women are constituted as too difficult to love for all these different reasons. And I wanted to start at that point because it's a point of, we always talk about work, but we don't talk about love and desire and the ways in which that's shaped. And then I also talk about two feminist disabled feminists, Leah Lakshmi Peepsina Samarasinha and Alice Wong, who have done some brilliant work written during the pandemic about what it means to be disabled in a pandemic and challenge the ways in which our healthcare system and all the kinds of support systems have excluded women, and especially disabled women, and the kinds of alternative ways in which women have built these women along in these critical collectives outside of the economy, outside of dominant healthcare, have been able to produce these care collectives which have enabled us to survive. So I also, part of this presentation is to talk about survival and survival against all the odds that have happened. I also want to have some discussion with the Black feminists, because we know Black Lives Matter was a big deal during the pandemic, and particularly there's this Crunk Feminist Collective, which does a lot of hip hop feminism. I'm not that cool to know that much about hip hop, but I really like the ways in which they engage the everyday, because part of the argument I'm making is with these are actually all activists, and I wanted to bring that conversation to bear during this time of siege, is because it gives us hope in the ways that a lot of us, even some of us who will be in the audience, myself included, we've been doing everyday things to survive mentally, physically, emotionally. And that having access to these stories, these, listening to their poetry, thinking about their actions in a way will help us in some ways, both give us the courage to keep going, but also give us a way to move forward in the space which seems so claustrophobic.
You mentioned the audience. Who do you expect to see in the audience on Friday as well? I imagine it's going to be across the board with people that'll be joining you.
I mean, I would really wish that there would be people of different ages, young people, older people, and just because it's talking about brave new conversations around women, I'm understanding gender in a really broad sense. So anybody whose identity at this point is feeling in some ways under siege, anybody whose everyday life is feeling someday under siege, I really want it to be a conversation. It's not going to be just me talking at people. I want to just bring some of these issues out. I wanted to bring some of the things that people have been thinking about, some of the actions that people have been doing, and then have a conversation about how we ourselves have been participating in these activities, knowingly or unknowingly, and then creating a kind of vision for the future, something that pushes back against this feeling completely like overwhelmed. Because I'm a professor too, and I go into even my classrooms, from my undergraduate classrooms to my graduate students who are older. I just feel that we're all under this, like the pandemic is over, quote unquote. People are saying the pandemic is over and everything is normal. But nothing is normal right now. And so I want us to be in that space to appreciate not being normal and not yearning. And that's the important thing. I don't want to yearn for the normal. I want us to collectively create another space for something better to happen.
Dr. Erevelles is a professor at the University of Alabama. She's our Mental Health Monday guest, and her presentation will be on Friday. We'll have some information in our social media post on how you can attend. Dr. Erevelles, thank you for joining us this morning.
Thank you for having me. I really appreciate this. Yeah.
Thank you, and we'll see you on Friday.
Yes.
All right, I'm going to turn things over to Nick. And Nick, you've got a special guest that's going to bring us up to date about our emergency medical services program.
That's right. Moving on to Cynthia Cagle, lead faculty, HCC Emergency Medical Services. Welcome, Cynthia. We're looking forward to learning more about your department.
Thank you very much, Nicholas. I am very much happy to be here today and able to promote what we do and the fantastic program we have.
Well, let's begin with an overall introduction and overview to the HCC EMS program.
Well, we have been, this is one of the programs that has been around at HCC for very many years, 30 plus years, if not a little bit more than that. We're part of the Workforce Safety Institute. And what we do is basically train the people that end up working in ambulances, for the most part, or fire departments, but as well as some other industries as well, and some other healthcare type of jobs as well as a paramedic.
Well, I know that some of the certificates take longer, but is it true that in one semester of training, people can accomplish the qualifications they need to start working in the field?
Absolutely. You can start with the what we call the EMT basic, the emergency medical technician at the basic level. That is about a semester, just because of the clinical work that we have to do at the end of the semester. They actually do have to go do some practices in ambulances in the hospital. So it takes a little bit over about a semester, so about a semester and a half. And then after that, they are able to go get tested for their national registry. And once they do that, they can submit for their certification for the state of Texas and actually get a job. A lot of our students, while they're going through their clinical rotations at the end of the class, actually get offered jobs on the spot, letting them know, hey, in a couple of weeks when you finish and you test, come back and submit an application. We'll be happy to hire you. So a lot of our students, you know, they haven't even finished the program and they already have a few options lined up for them.
Does that suggest that this is a field with a lot of job vacancies right now, just waiting for students to complete their training?
Absolutely, especially because of the pandemic, there has been a shortage of personnel pretty much all over the nation when it comes to first responders and emergency medical services. And we see that here in the city of Houston and surrounding area as well. The preferred qualification would be paramedic, which is the highest level that you can obtain, but they are hiring anywhere from basics to advanced to paramedics.
Okay. And so if I understood, those are the levels of training that HCC offers. So from 1 semester plus clinicals, you have your basics. 2 years, did I understand that? 2 years to become a paramedic, is that right?
That is correct. You do about a semester and a half, like I mentioned, for basic, about a semester and a half for AEMT, because that includes also the clinicals. And then it's actually 3 semesters for paramedic. However, if you start from beginning to end, moving forward without any interruptions, you go from basic to paramedic in actually 2 years. So within 2 years, you can get the highest certification that we offer.
Okay, excellent. And if students are interested in taking emergency services courses and working towards these certifications, which campuses at HCC do we offer these programs?
We offer these classes right now. The main hub, our home is the Caldwell building in the Northeast campus. We offer all certification levels there. We have a basic class during the day. We do offer a basic class at night. We have 1 advanced class every semester there, and then we have the paramedic classes there. The other campuses that we're located at is Missouri City, where we offer the basic classes 2 days a week during the day, and the Spring Branch campus, which we offer the basic class 2 days a week and the advanced class 2 days a week.
Okay, fabulous. And what semesters do we offer these courses at HCC?
We offer them each semester. We start 1 class for the basics, advanced, and paramedics each spring, summer, and fall.
Okay, wonderful, wonderful. Tell us a little bit about the equipment and the facilities.
Well, our facilities are very nice. The Caldwell facility that we have was actually built out for us. We have a simulation lab that we use at the paramedic level, and we also use it sometimes at the advanced level. We did get a ambulance donated a couple of years back, and we actually have a fully equipped functional ambulance that our students are able to practice, like actually attending to patients in the back of an ambulance while it's moving. So that is really a highlight of every semester when the students get to do that. They're very excited about that. We also have a cab, the back part of the ambulance, in one of the rooms, so we can simulate treating a patient in the back. We have very specialized rooms throughout. We have airway rooms or dedicated airway rooms, dedicated pediatric rooms. So it's actually a very well-rounded program. At the other facilities, we also have dedicated skills and classrooms that we have all the equipment in there as well for those classes, like the basic and the advanced. Over the last few years, we have been able to acquire some of newer mannequins that we're very excited between Lurtle mannequins and Gomard mannequins. They're just fantastic. You know, they basically allow us for the students to practice just like if they were practicing in a human being.
Well, I know a lot of people at HCC are excited about The Rock, which is coming to near the Caldwell campus, right? Unless I'm mistaken, is that something that your program will be involved in? Is there anything you can say about that new facility in development?
Unfortunately, no, I can't really talk about that facility.
Still top secret.
I'm not knowledgeable about it. No, apparently it's top secret, and they would have to kill me. And I don't know about that right now. I do know that it's in the works, and I do know that there's a lot of excitement and talk about it, and we all look forward to being able to offer a lot more workforce type of training, because it's really something very valuable. People can get training on any of the workforce classes, not just our program, and actually be able to get a career within a timely manner that will help them advance not only in their personal life, but also in their jobs and their career, and allow them to later on continue with schooling if that's what they want to do.
Well, thank you very much. I appreciate your time and all of this information. Again, thanks to Cynthia Cagle, the lead faculty of HCC Emergency Medical Services. We'll have your info in our post after the show.
You're very welcome, and thank you so much for having me.
All right. Thank you both. We've got a couple of announcements to go through before we wrap up today's show. One of them, be a civic trustee, leadership and practical problem solving. HCC's community learning courses is offering online workshops to learn no blame, solve problem solving. government decision-making, and city leadership roles in running for office. It's from 9 a.m. to noon, Mondays, October 17th through December 12th. It is a virtual presentation, very easy to attend. If you'd like to check it out, check our post after the show with a link for more details. And Nick, there's something called self-esteem, building a better me that's being offered as well.
That's right. It seems appropriate for Mental Health Mondays to share this announcement with everybody. HCC's Counseling and Ability Services will present a mental health wellness workshop on self-esteem. That's Tuesday, October 18th from 11 a.m. to noon. It's in person at the HCC Stafford Learning Hub. We'll have more info in our post after the show for those that are interested in registering.
And on that same day, Nick, HCC is offering a virtual workshop called Black Mental Health Matters. That's from 1 to 2 p.m. Tuesday, October the 18th, which is, by the way, it's virtual. It's on WebEx, very easy to attend as well. We'll have some information in our post after the show where you can register. And the fall food trucks are back. It's in, this is something we do every year throughout the year, Nick, to help combat food insecurity across the district.
That's right. The Community Health Market trailer, the Houston Food Bank truck, is going to be back at HCC for HCC students, faculty, and staff, any of whom can sign up for available time slots. Just choose a campus, the date, and the time, and you're welcome to pick up food between 10 a.m. and 1 p.m. all the way through October 27th on campuses across the city. As always, more info in our post after the show to register.
Okay, another thing too coming up. Are you going to the Bedichek Orman auction, Nick?
I sure am. I'm glad that it's finally back in person. The last couple of years have been virtual. It's a wonderful event. Faculty can show up and raise money to support professional development for our instructors. It's a good time.
Okay, here's a question for you. This is prom night, and they're talking about everyone's prom night, all decades. What decade would your prom night be from?
Well, Todd, I went to prom in the mid 1990s.
Oh, you did? Okay, I got you beat. That was the early 80s. Early 80s for me. So yeah, that'll date us. But the theme of this year is prom night. The 2022 Bedichek Orman auction supports worthwhile professional development opportunities for HCC faculty. And it's a fun evening of bidding on some cool items for a great cause. They're having it this year at the West Houston Institute on Friday, October the 28th. It's going to be cool. Prom night's the theme. Make sure you register. We'll have a link in our post after the show. And if you want to take classes at HCC, and Nick, maybe you can talk more about this because you can still get some classes taken before the fall semester ends, but they're going to be very condensed, right? I mean, this is kind of like summer school on steroids, right?
Yeah, the final 8-week session of the semester actually starts today, and it's possible for classes in that session that have not met yet. Maybe they meet this afternoon or Tuesday, Thursday. Yeah. Maybe enrollment is still open for 8-week session classes that begin this week. But there are some programs that also have 4 and 5-week sessions that start in October, November, still coming ahead. So time is short.
Accelerated, right?
Yeah, they are. They're going to be 4 or 5 weeks or 8 weeks, much quicker. You're going to have more contact hours in the class during the week than you typically would in a 12 or 16-week session.
Yeah. But
there's still enrollment opportunities open for fall term. It's not closed yet.
Okay. Well, we're going to be talking spring pretty soon as well.
That's
spring,
right.
2023. Where did the year go? I mean, we're already coming to the end. Hey, there's still 5 ways to learn. 2 of them are completely online. 2 of them are hybrid. And then there is one where you can just go to class like we used to do. Just go in person. That's what our students seem to enjoy. So check that out. And we'll have a link in our post after the show, but you can register at hccs.edu/apply for all your registration needs. Tomorrow, Tasty Tuesday. Tokyo Night Festival. We're all about that. That's going to be here. And we also got Dr. Donna Davis, our DEI officer here at HCC. She'll be here to talk about being nominated for a Women of Excellence Diversity Award. Congratulations to her. Nick, thanks for being here this morning.
Thank you, everybody, and all of our guests and all of our viewers.
All right. And thank you all for joining us on Up to the Minute. We'll be back live tomorrow morning, 10 a.m. We'll see you then.